Alrighty, that worked well. Thank you all for being here. I am happy to be doing today's show. Let's see if this works. My name is Anthony Brokus, Chief Gearhead here at StreamTek. And as always, if you're looking for us on YouTube, it's Stream Technology, or Tech should show up. And if you are on Facebook, it's also Stream Technology with a K. That's the key. If you type in C, you get all kinds of other stuff. And yes, today I am managing the switch with this little thing. If you've watched the videos on the YouTube channel, you've seen me pair this Bluetooth, tiny little Bluetooth numeric keypad, and for $19.95, sometimes you can get it for an extra $2 off. And it's Bluetooth and it's wireless. And I got a frog in my throat today. But yeah, hopefully today's show goes better than last week's show, where the power went out just before the show. I rewired stuff. I put up an extra light, and then I kind of got stuff working, and the camera died 3/4 of the way through the show. It was just, and then I had a technical issue with the Mevo multicam app, which other people have also had in the group, so I'm not alone with that. There's some sort of like, it gets confused and it can't connect to the things that it sees on the network. It says, I see the camera. As you say, connect to it. And it says, well, how do you want me to connect to it? I'm like, you already saw the camera. I don't know. So today's show is the YoloBox Ultra and version 2.0. And the Ultra came out at the end of 2023. People receiving it January, February, March. It's now May, and it is May, right? And we're up to version 2. We've gone through a whole bunch of 1 point whatevers, and we're up to version 2. And there have been a lot of fixes. I have the webpage open, and we will look at these updates on here. And there's a couple things in here that I think a lot of people are going to really like. I have seen a couple people say, well, with the 2.0, other stuff has happened. So we're going to work our way through. I have not, because this just came out. I just loaded it last night. I have not had a chance to fully debug everything, but today's show, we're going to walk through some of the key features of the YoloBox Ultra 2.0. As always, if you have any questions, you want to try something out, if you have another question that's not YoloBox related, just open streaming related, throw it into the comments. I am connected on Twitter, LinkedIn, Twitch, and those other very small niche distribution, Facebook and YouTube. And so if you are watching on any of those, you can reach out and throw a question in. We are not on Instagram. Have not been able to get Instagram to reliably work. And if you RTMP into Instagram, you get a center crop. And you know, I like to have a second device do that so I can rearrange things for a center crop. But we're not going to worry about. Haven't worried about that for a couple weeks. Don Cato says, "Salute all." Yes, welcome everyone to the show. We've got a good audience today, probably because YoloBox has a very big following. And I did not share this into the YoloBox or the YOLO Live group. So if somebody else wants to do that, that's fine. I appreciate that. I did not. I just bit of disclosure, I am no longer producing content for YOLO Live. This is completely independent. They are not sponsoring this content. They are not paying me. There's no relationship between me and YOLO Live at the moment. That's because I review other people's stuff as well. And by doing that, it sort of makes a relationship with one of the companies a little more difficult. So anyway, just to make it clear where I'm coming from, this is not a paid ad for YOLO Live or the YoloBox. I also don't sell the product. However, if you do decide to buy the product, let me click over here. Not that one, this one. You can go to the video guys, and I have a an affiliate relationship with them. So you can, wow, that's go away. You can go through different stuff. So there's the YoloBox Pro, there's the YoloBox Ultra, which is currently on sale for $14.98 in the US. And so you can get various streaming gear through Video Guys. So I get a teeny piece. You don't have to pay anything extra, but I get a teeny piece because I've partnered with them to basically say, hey, go there. And by me saying go there, I get a piece whatever you buy from that page. You will find that in the description of most every video on my YouTube channel. Not this live show yet. I'll do that later. If you are watching on Facebook, know that this show and tons of other really useful streaming content for people who are new and beginning in streaming is available on the StreamTek channel. So you can come down here, and we did an alpha cam at NAB. I did a show of the Black Magic Studio cameras. I keep reaching out to Mevo. I would love to do something on their core camera, but apparently I'm way down here on the reviewer list. If you feel I should be a little higher, send them a note. And you can see there's the live streams, NAB content. So NAB was a big conference in the broadcast industry, and I produced 20 different interviews on the NAB show floor about lots of different streaming content and accessories. Colbor is lighting, Saramonic is audio, Bird Dog is cameras. So lots of different content there. You can peruse. They're all very short: 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 7 minutes. So they're very short. And then if you want to learn about the technology, I have a whole playlist on technology. If you want to see how to use different gear, I have a playlist on gear. So that is the YouTube channel. If you also, yes, I know it's telling me I have a live show. Oops, didn't want to do that. There's the StreamTek page on Facebook. And as of right now, I don't think I have any reviews. So if you want to give me like a 5-star review for making great content, that would do great. And eventually I could get like a blue checkbox or something next to my name over there. But I've got 45 likes and 63 followers. So thank you to all those who have already done that. There's also a StreamTek group. You can tell it's got the extra little group thing on the right there. And that is where people can jump in and discuss things that's not tied to any particular company or service or software. So there's no outside company managing this group. It's completely open. I know a lot of people are in the Mevo group or in the YOLO Live group and things like that. And the thing is, with those company managed groups, you can't discuss other competitors' products. The companies usually don't like that, So if you're in the YOLO Live group and you discuss the Magewell, or if you're in the Magewell group and you discuss the YoloBox, they have issue with those things. So the StreamTek group is a place where you're free to discuss any product. And if you want to learn more about streaming media in general, I write for Streaming Media Magazine, especially Streaming Media Producer, where you can sign up for free newsletters and you can get reviews of different gear, like all that YC Onion Pinata Peak over there. And I did an NAB highlight at YC Onion, and they've got a new monopod coming out. It's actually, they had it there at the show. I was able to use it. I was very impressed with it. I did a video on it. It's not available yet. They're still finalizing it. But it was really cool. When it does come out, it's really cool. And lastly, if you're looking for consulting and or integration or advice to help you get set up for your streaming podcast, broadcast, whatever, my business is Stream for Us. Stream, the number 4.us. There's also a contact page and different tips on there as well. So that is the blah, blah, blah at the beginning of the video. Thank you all for sitting through that. Let us go over to the YOLO Live. Goodness, thank you all for jumping up there. Oop. What is it doing now? No. Go back. I'm trying to get to, there we go. Nope. Goodness gracious. Thank you very much, Facebook. All right, let me hide that while I try and figure out where it's going, because I had it all lined up and now it's not there. So that I could walk through the different features that they added to the YoloBox Ultra. There's a post on in the YOLO live group. All right, there we go. Not that one, this one. We have a multicam, and what YoloBox 2.0 is available. And if you haven't ever updated your YoloBox, it's actually quite easy. Is it here or is it here? Oh, it's nowhere. Where does this cable go? The cable comes over here. I'll move this out of the way. I'll put this in place. That's the problem when you do too many different shows. There we go. So this is the Ultra right here. I have already updated it, but you hit the little person with the gear up there, and then you'll see right over here it says version and upgrade, and if you double click on that, it'll say I'm on the latest version 2.0. Let's do it again so you can see that. So you see right there, it says I'm on 2.0. But tapping that, if you haven't already updated yours, that's where you sit there and say, you tap it and I'll say, oh, new version's available. And it'll come up with this big screen, covers the whole thing, and it'll tell you all the different updates. And then you can choose to update or not. And I always say when you are in the midst of like preparing for a show, like, oh, I've got a show tomorrow, I've tested it, everything I need to do works properly, don't install an update. Doesn't matter if it's a computer, a TriCaster, a Mac, a PC, a Magewell, a YoloBox, doesn't matter what it is. If you test for a show, like I have a show this weekend, and you tested for it, everything's working good, do not update. After the show, when you've got some time, then you can update your Windows, your vMix, your Wirecast, your, whatever software you're using. Then you can update and then test again to make sure all those things that you need still work. Because there are times an update for this feature will break that feature, and that feature might be the feature you need. Or in some cases, doing an update wipes everything clean, and then those things that you had set up for yourself, your presets, your compression rate, your frame rate, the size, the recording, your preset overlays and everything, all that's gone, and then you have to quickly make all that again. So make sure you do an update when you have time to fix whatever the update's going to break. So that's just a word of advice coming from years of doing actual broadcast live streaming experience, and things not working when you think they should work. And that kind of goes with this one. Would love to see an update that doesn't break other stuff, plus fixes the existing bugs. Yes, I would too. And some companies are better than others. I have worked with some companies where when they, for the most part, a new update didn't break older stuff. vMix is one of those. The vMix software, they added like this whole Zoom integration. And I've been I'm in several vMix user groups, and I have not seen any posts about other stuff that is now broken. People are really digging the new Zoom integration. Other people still like doing it the old way. But vMix is an example of a piece of software where they must have a really good test team, a core group of people to beta test stuff, so that when something finally comes out as a release, it's been vetted, and any potential bug. There's always little things that kind of sneak through once you send it out to like thousands and thousands of people. Somebody's going to find something. But by and large, that's an example, I feel, of a company where when they put out an update, you are more assured that an update won't break things. Which is also not to say that when vMix comes out with an update, I don't do it if I'm in a week leading up to a show. I will wait till there's no reason for me to update. I have a show on Friday. Okay, I'll update next Monday. That's like a rule for me. See what we got down here. Got a couple comments come in. Looking forward to hearing about the updates on the Ultra, says Ben Jeans Williams. Also seen Apple's new Final Cut Pro iPad app will be able to do multicam record from other iPhones, iPads, it looks. Very interesting. I just saw an announcement about that this morning. I haven't had a chance to look at it. It will be interesting because it's not necessarily a live switching production tool. It's a multi-camera recorder for edit, which is a whole different mindset. You know, you're just ingesting a bunch of things. And Atomos has been able to do that with their external monitor recorders for years. Convergent Design, even before them, could take in 4 cameras. You could live switch. It would export an EDL. The ATEM, the Extremes, the ones that can do ISO, they do the same thing. You want to ingest 4 cameras, 8 cameras at once, and have an EDL from you punching the buttons and stuff like that? Have at it. So it is kind of interesting to see Apple delve into that market a little bit. Doesn't seem to be their natural forte. And it's also not necessarily a live switching for streaming tool either. Hi from Maryland, from Buffcase and Balaz of the Beautiful Game. Hello to you. What is your opinion of the Ultra update? Haven't gone through it yet. GD Creation says, hello from India. Well, hello to you. It's got to be like, what, 3 in the morning there? Let me know. Thanks for turning me on to Top Director, wonderful partner for my NDI camera and YoloBox Ultra. Yes, Top Director was one of the companies I highlighted at NAB. I got to speak to the actual author of the application. He actually had a booth, which is kind of interesting because I did not see Cinemaker. Teradek no longer makes AirMix. Switcher Studio hasn't done NAB as a standalone booth, I think, ever. They were in like a partner pavilion once. So of all the different companies that do iPad multi-camera live switching streaming applications, Top Director was like, they had their own legit booth. And they were showing off a new control surface. They have a playback app. They have a camera app. They have the multicam live switching app, which will take in 4 UVC cameras, 4 UVC devices into it, as well as all the NDI. So it's really cool. And then they have an NDI monitor recorder. So there's a whole suite of applications there. So check those out. Go to StreamTek on YouTube. Check out the video where I kind of go over those. Looking forward to hearing about the Ultra updates I've seen. Interesting if Apple's going to be doing a streaming feature. It would be interesting because Apple has never had a live streaming tool. And I've been using Apple since the Macintosh SE. Long time. I had the Solic 5G hotspot. I was getting really bad internet speeds. Is there a good hotspot for the YoloBox? My house Wi-Fi is great on it, but my hotspot isn't working well. There's not necessarily, like, let me just say, the hotspot hands off the data via USB. The YoloBox has no idea what that device is. It doesn't matter what that device is. If that device has a problem getting data, it's that device's problem getting data. Because all that's coming across is USB data. That's it. The YoloBox doesn't know one device from another. That said, I have talked about this ZTE modem. It's kind of hard to see it because it's so bright. This ZTE modem. Actually, go to overhead. And it's bright overhead too. Wow. Let me iris this down a little bit. There we go. This ZTE modem stick, again, this does all the data and then it just hands the data over via USB. The YoloBox has no idea what this is. And you just stick your SIM card in here. You can put a micro SD in here and that's it. So if I wanted to use this, I would just stick this in the top here. It's probably not going to go in this way. Nope, it's going to go in the other way. And that would show up as a source if I have data left on the SIM card. And there's also Netgear makes a standalone hotspot that I like because it has an Ethernet port. So I can take that hotspot. Actually, let me go get it. So most hotspots are like this. This is a T-Mobile hotspot, and you can see it's got power, and that's it, and a power button. So you can charge it up and turn it on and off. There's no data out of this box except for Wi-Fi. The Netgear, this is an M1, and it's not on, has USB, USB-C, which will pass data, and Ethernet. USB has a length limitation, so you can only go, what, 10 feet or whatever. And I was in a church, and I was doing a funeral service, and I took the Ethernet and I put this little thing outside the building, high up on a 23-foot pole, so that these antennas that are all around the outside could reach the towers better than if I was inside, and certainly better than the antennas inside of an iPad or the YoloBox, you know, because these are outside, high up in the air, able to see further. And that way I ran the Ethernet cable down, you know, 80 feet into the building, and I plugged into another hotspot, or not, Wi-Fi access point. Actually, it was a Google. I'm kind of partial to the Google Wi-Fi pucks. These are the 2016 version, and you can tell because they have a USB-C for power. So I can power these off of a battery bank, and that's why I like these a lot. And then you plug the output of the modem into the world port on here, and then this shares it with all the devices in the area. And then I can also have one wired device part of that network. So these have been very reliable for me for many years. So I've got I don't know, 6 of these, because they're also a mesh network. So I can boop 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 boop. I can daisy chain and cover a larger area. So those are really cool. But to answer the question, this is a great. You can get the M1 used now because there's an M5 that will do 5 gigahertz or 5G. Sorry, we're talking cellular, 5G. And then also, if you wanted to reach someplace a lot further, like you were at a sports stadium and there's 10,000 people in the sports stadium, every tower close to the sports stadium is going to be saturated. So you could, with this, get directional antennas, plug them into the antenna ports, and aim them out to other towers further away that everybody else is not talking to, thereby giving you a more reliable signal. So there's lots of tips and tricks that you can do to get better cellular. And then don't forget that there is a cellular modem in here as well. It's only 4G, but if everybody's cell phone is on 5G, that's going to free up 4G bandwidth wherever you're at. So there you go. How can we combine vMix and Ultra? Well, vMix does multi-camera live switching and Ultra does multi-camera live switching. They're kind of redundant. However, vMix runs on a PC, and a PC does not naturally have a way to ingest multiple cameras. The Ultra does. The Ultra has 4 HDMI inputs and 2 USB that you could use UVC converters like this one. You know, I could just plug this in here. And again, it's probably going to be backwards. Yep, of course. Always backwards the first time, right? So now I've got cellular. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cameras. I could plug in another camera down here on the USB-C. And then you can take the output of this and run it into vMix. But then again, you've got most everything you're going to do in a live show. Let me duplicate a live show here. Does that work? Does that even work? Just going to give it an extra letter. So you can go in here. I mean, you've got your multiple destinations. vMix can go to 2, and it will send 2 complete streams. When you do the multicasting from the YoloBox, it'll go to 3 and only send 1 stream. that'll be split in the cloud. So you're saving on data. You've got your graphics, which I don't have any graphics in here. This has bonding. Now you can do bonding on a computer with software, or you can do bonding on a third-party device like a PepLink. But this has bonding built in. Multi-destinations, you could do guests. vMix can do guests if you got the right thing. This has got an audio mixer, which we'll get into. Sports scoreboard, replay. I mean, there's a lot of things in here, so I don't know why you would want to mix the two together. I know vMix has a lot more customizability, but there's a lot, you know, for, I think vMix is like the level when you get beyond what you can't do it on here. You need more flexibility, more functionality. You need more audio buses. You know, I have the Pro license on vMix, so I have, I think, up to 8 different audio buses. So I can have different people on different buses. So this doesn't have multiple audio buses, you know. So mix minus is way easier on the vMix than it is on here. Have you played around with Top Director on the iPad? I have not. As a reviewer, I don't buy everything that I review. I reach out to companies and I ask them if I can review it, which is why I have not done the core. I'm not going to buy a core. I don't resell stuff, so I don't have direct access to equipment. So I reach out to companies and say, I would like to review it. And then companies send me things. Like for streaming media, I will be reviewing the Blackmagic Pocket studio camera. Or micro studio camera, I should say. And that is, I do the review and then I send it back. So there's no relationship between me and Blackmagic other than they loaned it to me for a couple weeks and then I sent it back. And then I did the review, and that review will be in streaming media. So I've reached out to Top Director, and when I talked to him at the show, he's like, we got to get you one. I said, okay, let's do that. So eventually, I think that will happen. Somewhere in a YoloBox Ultra discussion, someone mentioned ongoing H.265 issues. Do you know what those are? I don't. I generally don't do H.265 because it is a codec that requires more processing. And unless I need to save the data, make the data smaller, unless I really need that, I'll go with H.264, which puts less of a strain on the device. That's just what I do, or how I operate. So if I was trying to stream over cellular and I wanted to make sure that the stream used as little data as possible, I would use H.265 for that. But, you know, given that I can stick in a terabyte SD card, which can record for hours and hours and hours at H.264, I really don't see the need for H.265 unless I need to really save the data rate. Next question. I've gotten stuck in the Snapdragon by trying to use USB on an iPhone. Is there a better way to exit the screen other than hard reboot? I don't know what that is. Sorry, I can't help you with that one. On the orange hockey puck hotspot for streaming to the YoloBox, I don't know what their data rates are. And if it's a box that is also including service, basically they are an MNVO, mobile virtual network operator. Ooh, I wonder if I got that right. MVNO, and multiple virtual network operator, which means they're basically using somebody else's service. There are only so many service providers in the US, because I know there's people around the world watching. There's Verizon, there's AT&T, and there's T-Mobile. And I think Cellular One has some, you know, a small teeny percentage, but there's 3 big carriers. So if you are Mint Mobile, you are on one of those carriers. If you're on Boost Mobile, you are on one of those carriers. If you are on Visible, you are on Verizon. You know, those are MVNOs. If you are on Google Fi, you could possibly use multiple carriers, because Google Fi actually has partnerships with multiple carriers to provide that service. If I am a subscriber to T-Mobile in the US, I can have a high enough plan that when I go to Europe, my phone still works and I'm able to receive a call. Well, T-Mobile doesn't have towers in Europe. They partner with other companies, and they are the mobile carrier, the sub carrier for mobile networks somewhere else. So since we don't know who is the actual carrier for the orange hockey puck, then it behooves us to wonder how good the coverage is for that carrier, whatever carrier that is, wherever you are. That's the other thing. Not every carrier has great coverage in every area. So it is, the orange hockey puck is a question, is what it is. Whereas if you get a Netgear like this, and you know AT&T is great in your area, put an AT&T SIM in here and you should be good. That's where, when you have control, you are able to pick the right thing. If you're in an area where T-Mobile is better, you get to put a T-Mobile SIM in here and then you work it. Unless, of course, you get the AT&T branded one like I have, which is locked to AT&T. I bought it used. But thank you for the non-YoloBox question. I appreciate that. What are your thoughts on the orange? I got that one. Going down the list, the Netgear N1 has been a workhorse for years in my remote productions. Yeah, and mine as well. Like I said, I've used this many times when the specific thing that this does for me is what I need. You know, I take this, I put it outside. I did multi-camera live stream for 4 hours straight, and it was inside of a big metal shed of a building. It was a conference center, but it's a big metal shed. And my cellular, you know, was barely 1 bar inside the building, but I put this outside up on a tall mast. That's why there's a big magnet on the, or magnetic plate on the bottom, so that it could see towers further and everything. And also, just as a side note, when you see, I always hold it like this because the antennas are spread around the edge, and it's designed to connect based on direction and use those antennas to send a signal in a certain direction. It's a 4x4 MIMO, multiple in, multiple out. When you see people mount it like this, you kind of lose the MIMO because it can't time signals in this way because they're all here. You can't send a timing difference between two antennas that are like this. That's why it's designed to sit on the table. Same thing with the Google Hockey Puck. It's got multiple antennas around the circumference. So when people mount it like this, you know, on their wall, you're sort of defeating the way it was designed. NDI. Yes, NDI is awesome. I like NDI. Top Driver works great with my iPad 12-inch. I've got a couple older iPads. I don't have a USB-C iPad yet. That's going to have to be an investment on my part. I haven't had a problem with H.265. Awesome. Thank you for chiming in there. Have you used any of Peplink's SpeedFusion laptop case? I didn't know Peplink had a laptop case. I know Peplink makes standalone multi-carrier, multi-cellular bonding routers. So you can have 4 different SIM cards in it, 4 different antennas, and since we only have 3 carriers, you know, one's going to be redundant. And then we'll feed out Ethernet. The nice thing with that is you're not just streaming the video bonded, but anything you want to get is also bonded. So you have a more reliable downlink as well. So if you need to then get into the cloud and change settings for your stream or check on comments or download a file or things like that, all of that's bonded in both directions. So that's the advantage of a standalone bonded thing like that. All right, that kind of goes through the questions we got so far. Sorry that took so long. Let us jump right into this thing. Go to the laptop and go to my 2-shot like this. There we go. And get rid of that. So, YoloBox 2.0.0 is available. Maybe I can make that a little bigger. Let's see if I can make that bigger. Pop. There we go. What's new in here? The option to replay at 1080p 60 or 720p 60. Now that is, I think it's interesting because normally what you want to do in replay, this part right here, what you want to do in replay is you want to acquire at 60 and replay slowed down. So you're not replaying at 60, but I think this might mean the ability to ingest your sports at 60. So you get 60 frames per second coming in from the cameras. And then when you slow it down, there's more frames, as opposed to taking in your cameras at 30. And then when you slow it down, it's just like plop, 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 because you only have so many, you know, there's only 30 frames. If you slow 30 down, now you got 15. things like that. Whereas if you capture 60, that's great. You know, going back to the vMix question, vMix will accept up to 120 frames per second, I think, or maybe even more on the replay systems. So when you slow it down, you still get a lot of frames and a lot of smooth motion. So that's an advantage to that. Option to unselect replayed sources and reposition and resize the replay logo. So that is something new that the Pro did not have. The Pro kind of has like a little replay bug that's kind of like up here in the corner, and it's very faint. It's soft and subtle. So the ability to put a bigger replay bug, you know, maybe even make an overlay over the whole thing with red border or something like that that says replay. That is something that really does make it easily noticeable to the viewer that you are now in a replay. Mix minus. Mix minus is where you mute yourself when you're inviting a guest. And that has been the biggest challenge to people who are trying to use the remote guest feature in the YoloBox. And I have talked to people. I haven't yet checked it out in this one yet, but the mix minus also works in vertical mode. So if you're doing Instagram, TikTok, or things like that, and you're inviting guests in Instagram, you need to hear them from Instagram, but you need to not hear yourself through the YoloBox. So the mix minus working in the vertical world is also a huge development. So that is going to be great. Also, a little tweak with regards to the audio meter. The audio meter used to reflect the headphone volume. So if you turn the headphone volume down, your meter went away and you had no idea what the program was. Well, they fixed that. So now the audio meter shows you program. Even if you turn down the headphone volume, the audio meter will still show you how loud your audio is for your program, which is great. And it's same when mix minus not enabled. I don't even know what that means. Let's look at the mix minus for a second. So what they're talking about is, go here. If you go into a remote guest, I don't have a remote guest connected, but if you go into the audio mixing, I've moved my icons around for me. So certain things are in actually, no, I just did a restore when I got it, but mix minus. So I could take my microphone in. You see my mic is on right here. And so I have this microphone sitting on the table just for this demo. Hello, hello, hello. So that microphone is my microphone for me. And it's plugged into, let me go to the overhead, it's plugged into the microphone input down here, which is actually providing microphone power. So I've got like a little desk mic for me, and I have that on right here. I could add a little bit of delay because it's an analog microphone directly in. So I would probably add about, if I could get the slider to work, there we go, 60 milliseconds. So it's about 2 frames at 30 frames a second. And then what I want to do is I want to add mix minus, which means it's not going to be in my headphones. I don't hear myself. I would love to check that. I'm going to take a set of headphones. I'm going to plug them into the headphone jack. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. If I take mix minus off, mix, yep. It's great because now I hear myself with an echo, which is very annoying. And then when I hit the mix minus, I am gone. I have minused myself out of the program, or out of what I hear. And initially they were like, oh, if you want to minus it, you want to minus it from the program. And we're like, no, not from the program. We want to minus it from what we hear, but we still want it to be part of the program because I want to have a conversation with a guest who would be in my window over here. And I want to only hear them, or multiple thems, 3 or 4 of them. I want to hear all of them, but I don't want to hear myself with the delay. And that's a key advantage, being able to minus, let me bring that back up here, being able to hit that minus button and take that out. It also works if you're feeding the headphone out to, say, a stage monitor. So you could have a stage presentation where people on stage are all coming in analog audio, or you can see you can mix minus from HDMI 1, you can mix minus from all of these sources. So if, USB, so that's that USB adapter that I have plugged in. So if you have your audio coming into a camera and then it comes in, you can mix minus what comes in HDMI 1, and then that is not being fed back out to the stage. But if you want to play a video clip, you have remote guests, all of that will play into the room. You still have to watch out a little bit for a bit of loop-de-loo and be careful with your audio levels, but that's always the case when you're dealing with live audio. So that is a huge advantage. And done. Let's go back out here. Let's go into vertical. Yeah, it's going to be sideways. I haven't set up a vertical option for this. And here in the vertical, you can see, here's my microphone, and I can mix minus the vertical microphone in vertical mode. And that is going to help a lot of people who are using this for TikTok and Instagram, because those services also have their own remote guest or their own way to invite a guest. So you could be doing a show in TikTok or Instagram and invite somebody who's watching right there on Instagram. So it's really fast. They don't have to go over to a web browser and come in through the remote guest feature of the YoloBox. They can be right there in Instagram. They never leave their little Instagram world. And then you need to hear what's coming back from Instagram, but I don't want to hear myself talking with my delay to match the camera. So being able to do the mix minus right there is going to be a huge asset to people who are working in the vertical world. So exit the vertical world there. Again, I'm not seeing any new questions come in. You can always throw them into the comments as we go down the list. Let's go back over to the list. So mix minus is huge. Frank has said, let me go back here. I think Frank has said that mix minus will probably not make it to the Pro because it is very processor intensive. Dealing with the audio is processor intensive. Now, if they can find a way to offset things like, hey, if I'm not using instant replay and I take those resources off of the Pro, can I then use those resources for mix minus? I don't know. Good question for someone to ask in the group. I'm going to scroll down here again. Overlay optimizations. It supports time and clock overlays, new scoreboard templates. Let's take a look at those. Let's go back into my show, because I know people love the scoreboards. And Man UTD and Man City. Now remember, with the sports score, oh, you're looking at the wrong thing. Sorry, forgot to click you over. These are the new scoreboards. There's definitely more than there was here before, and some of these look very nice. Like these two in the middle right here, these actually look really pretty. And you know, the one with the little soccer ball in the middle of it, league game first, time, the score versus the score, and then the little color tag on either side so you can like have it match the shirts for the viewers. You know, that's really cool. Down here, so we've got some really interesting things. This one might be for cricket down here, I think. And what I don't see is like a dedicated baseball one with the little diamond that people use a lot, so that you can say, you know, what base people are on, you know, and then how many outs, balls, and strikes and things like that. I don't see a dedicated one for that here yet, but the fact that these new updates are coming out and new scoreboards are being developed, I think speaks well to the fact that more scoreboards can be developed and come out. If we just keep asking and saying baseball, we need a fully featured scoreboard for baseball, because I think baseball's played around the world. I mean, it may not be as popular as cricket or rugby, or soccer, but baseball's still a pretty good worldwide sport. And more templates for 3 views and 4 quad views. Ooh, I know a lot of people were asking for that when let's see, USB 2, I've got those. I got 4 things going up right now. So I'm going to add another input. I did have a USB camera. Where did that go? Trying to see if I can grab my USB cable here. Is that it? No, that's not it. I can't reach it. So I did have another capture device, and I put it right here. I'm not going to plug anything into it, but I just need more sources in my Ultra. All right. So now looking overhead, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have USB 2 and USB 1. I've got two different capture devices. I've got this one and I've got this little dongle here. And what we want to do is we want to add a multi-view. Side by side views, I have three views, 2. So there's 3 views, 1 and 3. Oh, it used to be 3 views was 1, 2, 3. Was 3 like that. That was 3 views. And people said, well, I want to see one person key and then the 2 other people. So let's do this. We do 1 and then 2 and 3. Done. So therefore, I have the person who's talking. Let's go to the close-up of that. The person who's talking gets their own box, and then the 2 guests, the 2 guests right here, each get their own widescreen box. That's pretty nice. And then, of course, again, you can always put the background on there, how thick the border is, a little thinner. Oop, I kind of made it vanish. The scale, let's see what the scale, it scales them. Ooh, zooming in a little bit. That's kind of interesting. Whoa. And that's all the customization you get on there. Also, remember, this is a video clip. So this actually moves. You see it move in the background. So you've got a moving background. I wouldn't have a background move as fast as that if I was going to do a moving background, but it's possible. Because I have some on here. That's video. Let's do the stars. Done. Stars. There you go. So I've got moving video on my background. And that adds a nice little polish. It's discreet. It doesn't draw a whole lot of attention to itself, but it adds a little bit of texture to the setup. And then let's keep going. We have 4 views. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. So 4x4 scale. Let's see what happens if you can actually push into those a little bit, size them down, and same as before, you can throw a moving background on it. So you're not getting one larger than the other, but you are getting 4 on the screen at the same time, which has been something that's been asked for a lot, especially because, done, with the remote guests, you can add 1, 2, 3, 4 plus yourself. So that's 5 people, connected at one time. If you have your camera and 4 remote guests, that's 5 people. So it doesn't look like, cancel this, it doesn't look like there's a way to do 5 on screen yet, but 4 is better than what we were able to do, plus with the ability to do the different multi-views. And then there's also a 3 views version 2, which is 1, 2, 3, done. So you got 1 over top and then 2 below, but everybody gets to keep the widescreen view. And then you could drop a background on that, done. And the nice thing with these is they're so easy to make because they're presets, and you just tap between them and then back to my main camera, back to here, back to the main camera, and also being able to just like drag scroll this thing. If you look on the overhead, to be able to drag scroll this, which you can't do in the Pro, but I would love for that feature to come to the Pro. Being able to just drag scroll your sources would be great, because the way the Pro works, you've got a little arrow and you got to tap just that teeny little arrow to go down, and then you want to go up, and then you got to find that little arrow without touching an input. You get to, you don't want to switch an input, so you have to not hit the input to get up on the arrow. All right. Birdfeeder Network says, can you please look at the time and clock? Let's do that. I'm going to guess that is in overlays. Let's do this. Yep, there's definitely more here than there was before. There used to be 4 things here. Image overlays, which we know are like bugs. Lower thirds, let me get rid of this. The new overlays are right here. Image overlays, lower thirds, countdown timer, web URLs overlays, social overlays. Actually, we had all of those. Titles, those are the basic full screen things. I didn't actually want to do that. And time overlays. Okay, so that is a clock, kind of like this one. 1650. It's not really 1650. And then I can put that somewhere in the corner. I can put a shadow on it. Not really seeing a shadow. Time, Montserrat. Limelight, I'm seeing some new fonts in here as well. Retro, yeah, not liking the retrograde. So yeah, that one clock has this retrograde regular. So there's been an update in the fonts as well for some of these new semi-bold and bold. So you can even make it thicker if you want. Go back. Background color, it's black to gray. So I guess you could custom make it reddish. Okay, there you go. So you can, it's doing a nice blend there, give it an overlay name, and the timer color, that's the color of the font. So there's that. Time shadow, scale. Not that one. There you go. You can move it on the screen, but you can't size it with your finger. You can size it with the scale slider. So yeah, what I was just trying to do this, and that doesn't work. You can't scale it with your fingers, but you can scale it with this and then move it in the corner wherever you want. That's actually, I gotta admit, that's a nice looking font. It's a nice looking title. And you could make it goodness gracious, so tiny you can't see it. Done. And then bring that up. It cuts on and cuts off. And there's no fade on for that, but that looks nice. Hey, let's make another one. Let's do that one. Let's make that one really big. Hello, I'm clicking. There we go. Let's put that one up here. There's the retro color, time shadow. Whoa, yeah, there's the time shadow. Whoa. You don't want to make it go too far because you'll lose it. There you go. That gives it a nice little depth to it. Done. Put that up. There you go. We got 2 clocks. I'm liking the clocks. For those people who have asked for clocks, you have clocks. I think the clock is only based on the clock on my device. So if you were doing something in a different time zone, you're going to have to change the clock in your device, set your device to the time zone where you want that clock to be. If you're doing a show for someone somewhere else or at a different time zone, then you need to reset, because there's not a manual set. Like if I click on this and you can see you got your layers, lock to an input. That's actually cool. Let's lock it there. So this way, if I cut away and I cut back and I cut away and I cut back, this clock is locked to this input. So when I cut away, the overlay goes away. This one stays because it's not locked to an input, and I cut back and there it is. If I go in here and I edit the clock, there's not any setting for time offset. It's just clock. So there you go. Thank you for the request to look at the clocks. That's what I'm saying. This is an interactive show. You're here, I'm here, we're both here together. So if you've got a question, throw it into the comments. I read it. We go check it out. One more question on your YoloBox cage video. Oh, the cage wars. Do you give your favorite cage to use for the Ultra? My favorite cage to use for the Ultra, I don't need, because I primarily work tabletop. I am not working on a sideline. I'm not trying to carry my gear and use it on the go. So my need for a cage is lower than some people's cage. And if I go to the overhead again, what I did is, let me get rid of that overlay. Hide that. My cage is these 2 fold-out feet. So that's the primary function I need, is to be able to tilt it for use. So now I have it tilted. Also helps with airflow a little bit underneath. Lets the back, which is not even warm right now, lets the back release the heat because it's not against the surface. And I have a nice angle to it. You know, it's about the same angle as the Aaron Parecki's stand for the Pro. I do not have a version of this for the Ultra, but if I were to do something like this, this is more solid than these 2 little feet, but the 2 little feet travel better than this does, because this is always this size. and when you store it, it's always that size. So for the Pro, you know, when I'm using the Pro to do a show, this is kind of how I have it set up. So I've got my labels on here. I've got my quick release for the USB. You know, I record to a USB stick and take it out, put it in, take it out, put it in. So that is a way to both save the port and make it more convenient for me, as opposed to having to try to get the SD card out all the time. And if I were to do a cage, I would still want the cage to be angled on the desktop. You know, if I wanted to have it so that it held the cables in, you know, gently, you know, with the holders and not damage the ports, I would still want to have the cage angled. And none of the cages are designed to angle themselves. So then I need some sort of tripod or something screwed into the back to provide the elevation. So I don't necessarily use the cage for tabletop use. Yeah, because I have multiple devices here and none of them have cages. But thank you for the question. No more questions there. So let's continue. Let me fold these back up so it's now vertical to the camera. Let us continue with the settings. Save more settings. Web URL overlay optimization. That would be great. Let's test that. Plus, web URL overlays. Choose from YoloCast. I've got a couple that are preset there already. Let's choose this one. Now you see right here, sorry, look at the overhead. You see right here, this is a baseline crawl, and it's supposed to cover the whole bottom. And I've had a real difficult time getting that to work properly. And here again, it's here. It's right here. Like it should be here. This is how big I made it when I made it. So I can scale this up, and scale still doesn't do anything. Height is, in essence, providing scale. Width, I don't know what width is doing. So for me, the update to the URL overlay optimization, those three sliders are still broke. That's what I'm going to say. Auto scale. I don't know where it went. I hit auto scale and it went away. There it is. See, this thing should be much, much larger because, like I said, let me go back, add web URL overlays, choose from YoloCast. You can see right there, that center one this one. This center one, it covers the whole screen from left to right. It should be logo, here's information, and then the rest of the thing. And when I bring in it doesn't look like that. So let's try doing the soccer one. Done. And let's go here. So here we are on the soccer one. You can see it's right here again. And if I adjust the scale, scale is not doing anything. If I adjust the height, if I try to adjust the height, the sliders, I don't know why it's problematic, but other people have reported this as well. Here, I'm adjusting the height. Like, what is that doing? I don't know. If I adjust the width, it does not, because you would think if I adjust the width, it would get wider. If I adjust the height, it would get taller. And then if I adjust the scale, don't touch the width and the height, just make the whole thing bigger and smaller to fill the screen or make smaller, and then things like that. Or the scale is making this size, and then width just moves it left and right, and height moves it up and down. So you can make the sports scoreboard, you can scale it, and then move it left or move it up and down. Those sliders are not doing any of that. Scale doesn't work, height looks like scale, and width doesn't work. So, you know, and if I hit auto scale, I don't know what it's doing. So I think still it needs more optimization for the web overlays, at least from their own web overlays. I don't know how it works with third-party overlays, but you would think they would have tested it with their own web overlays from the YOLO Live, from your YOLO Live account. Save more settings, replay settings, NDI on or off, streaming mode, streaming resolution, audio mixer settings, recording settings. All of these are going to be great because for people like me that make a show, like this weekly show, and then I just duplicate it for next week, the more you can save from the show, from the previous show, the better. You know, I don't want to have to reattach music to my countdowns. I don't want to have to reattach graphics that were locked to inputs. I don't want to have to do any of that. I want to just build a show and count on it. And when I say duplicate, I got the same thing again, just with a different, title in there. It's, like when you copy a paragraph in your Word document and you paste the document, when you duplicate that, you don't expect it to be different. Don't rewrite the paragraph, just copy and paste it. Just everything needs to be the same. So the more they make the same, the better. Drag local SD card video progress bar when playing. Ooh, okay, let's check that out. Let me turn off my overlays and let's add a video. It's a 13-minute video. Done. There it is, and I say play. Okay, so now at the bottom of the screen, I've got a progress bar, and look at that. I think the word stop is part of the video. It's not part of the overlay here. So actually let me choose a different video that doesn't have that confusing thing in there. Let me choose this one. Done. Put that one up. Okay, so this one is very plain. It's just a countdown. But let's just say I wanted to start it somewhere else. I could scoot it forward, or if we need to scoot it back, now we can scoot it back. So that is a feature I know people have asked for. You've got this long video and I need to skip ahead. I can't pause it. I don't see a way to pause the video. I can delete it. There's not an active way in the video to pause it and then continue it. Like if you had a PDF. Do I have a PDF on here? I probably don't. I don't. But if you had a PDF, you can go page manually and it just sits there and waits for you. There's not a way in the video that I see to tell it to just pause here for a second and then continue playing, which is something I think a lot of people would like. But having the ability to have a slider, which also tells you very easily, I'm a little bit past halfway. I don't have to sit there and do math on the countdown. And there's a countdown timer too, so that's handy. Add event thumbnails directly from the box. Currently YouTube only, Facebook soon. Yes, I kind of glossed over that, done. But when I was creating this event and I said duplicate, down to the bottom here, I was able to, if I had it on the SD card or a USB stick, I would be able to go grab a thumbnail and that thumbnail would be pushed to YouTube as my thumbnail for the event, which is very handy. It's something that, when I was doing a year's worth of shows for YOLO Live, that it was always like I would create the show on the YOLO box. It would automatically create the event on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch. And then I'd have to go to each of those and upload the thumbnail manually. And that was just a hassle. Everything else would work. The description, the title, the date, the time. Facebook always got the time wrong. But uploading the thumbnail from here is going to be very handy when they just enable it to work in more places. I'm not going to hit create because I don't want to create it. Let's go back over here. I'm looking right here. Add thumbnails. Optimize the recording file size limit. For NTFS and EXFAT, there's no limit. For those people who I just want one file. I don't want to have to deal with anything else, just give me one file. So if you format your media, if you format your media, like your SD card as NTFS or EXFAT, you're not going to have a limit. FAT32, which is the smaller, it has a sector size limit. You're going to have a max of 3.5 gigabytes per file. And That is separate from when you are in your settings. Let's go back into the show. And you go into your recording settings. That segmentation is separate from this. The video will be recorded and saved every 10 minutes. This is regardless of file size. This is just for people who want to, if they're worried about the device crashing or something like that, that every 10 minutes, just make me a new file every 10 minutes so that if something happens, I've got 10, 10, 10. I've got all the other segments that are done, completed, complete files, handed off. They're done. They're perfect. Because for those who don't know, a file that's being written is just data. It's when the file is done that it gets information wrapped around it that tells the operating system what it is. It says, this is a video file of this codec that is this long. That isn't written until the machine is done with it and it knows how long it is. So when you do that every 10 minutes, then it's after 10 minutes, it says, okay, let's put the book cover on it, write the title, this is this file, this is the name of the file, this is how many pages it has, done, and puts it on the shelf. It's done. Anybody can access that. But if the machine were to crash in the middle of a file, now you have a file without a cover, without any wrapper information, without a length, without anything. You can, in many cases, reconstruct the data and use other tools to recover it. It's not always guaranteed. So that's why this feature is available. But if you go down to continuously, that's when the other thing that we were talking about right here, to be able to say, okay, I just want to record with no limit, which could quite be a challenge if you sit there and say, I'm going to do a 3-hour outdoor concert and I want to record it all as one file and hope that there's no glitch ever. So that's where I would say, let me go with like a 20-minute file. Give me a new file every 20 minutes, just so that I know that I've got all those pieces done. And you actually get an on-screen alert at the bottom of the screen. It says recording saved successfully. That means that piece is done. And if you ever want to test it, you can record, and then as soon as you hit stop, take out your USB stick, or take out your USB stick before you hit stop. And you're not going to be able to play that file or recover that file easily. So that's where that wrapper really comes into place. Let's go back over here. Standard bug fixes and performance improvement. So that kind of covers the announced. See if there's anything different. Reposition and resize the replay logo. Let's check it. Let's check that out. Done. I don't have a replay. Oh no, I wanted to go into the show. No. Let's go into our replay settings, which is here. Replay settings. Replay duration. I am not going to worry about that. I just want to check out this logo thing. Replay logo. Let's use YOLO Live as a logo. Done. Wow. Okay. If people don't see that logo on the replay, they're, yeah, you can scale it down. You can put it in the corner like that. Usually maybe up in the corner, but yeah, that's going to be pretty big. Done. Being able to show replay on the program, that's right. And then remember, there's a preset intro and outro. So if you want to have a short stinger, it'll play a short video clip. I really don't have any really short video clips. I do. I've got my StreamTek logo. Done. And my outro. Oops, not that. Do that again. Done. And so if I wanted to, this would be kind of funny. Let's make sure that logo is nice and big again. Let's go in here. Yep, right there in the middle. Done. And 1348, 47, 40. Oh, I got to turn replay on first, don't I? Let's turn replay settings on. Let's turn replay. Please select video sources. Okay. On program. And turn it on. We're going to let that go for a couple of seconds because it has to actually have that in the buffer first. And then I'm going to hit replay. Play now. Whoosh. And then here's my replay. Now I've got the black on the bumper. So it's going to play that for however many seconds. And then here's my out logo, and then back to program. So there you go. I think people will enjoy the fact that that replay logo is now as big and as bold as you want to make it. It does seem that my idea of making a border all the way around the screen might not work because of the way that when you go into the settings, that the replay logo, reselect picture. Let's just say I want to select something that was just the whole. Oh no, you can. Okay, so maybe, I don't know if it's an overlay though. I think if you did a PNG with alpha, let's try that. Let's come back out. Come back out. Replay logo. Yeah, it's got alpha. So if I reselect something with an animated GIF, that'd be kind of cool. There you go. Done. And you did replay. Play now. Here's my stinger. And then there's the not animated GIF playing for the length of the replay. And then at the end of the replay, there's my stinger and back out to the live program. So animated GIF, no, but still image, yes. Animated GIF would be so cool though. Transitions for intro and outro. Mine fades to black, so I don't know what it would be. Play now. Ooh, it's quite a nice fade. But anyway, for those who do a lot of sports replays, this is going to be being able. Wow. Okay, being able to do the stingers, being able to put something really big on the screen and bold that really indicates that it is a replay, and it could be sponsored by somebody, put their logo there too. Replay sponsored by, somebody, some car dealer, and that way you could have that information up on the screen as well. I think that is the last thing. Audio meters, overlay options, scoreboard templates, quad views, web URL optimization, still needs work. Save more settings, other improvements, add event thumbnails, and standard bug fixes and improvements. So I think that does cover the 2.0.0. Let me come back over here. I have seen some people say that UVC was affected with the 2.0.0 update. So coming out UVC to Zoom or something else was affected. And, so you can probably anticipate there'll be a 2.0.1 in the next few days. And I think that the improvements, especially the mix minus has been asked for quite some time. And I think a lot of people are going to really be able to make use of the remote guest feature because of the mix minus. That is, I think the mix minus is the biggest update here, the 2.0. Further enhancing the replay capability. And if you haven't, really delved into the replay capability of the Ultra, the fact that with the Ultra, you've got your replay frames per second, and I like playing them at 75%. I don't want the replay audio on, but the key with this is turn replay off. Then you can have multiple cameras doing replay. So turn off the program, just ISO the cameras on replay. And then when something happens, you get replay 1 and then replay 2 and then replay 3. That is really, 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 really cool. I think it's really cool. And that is something, there you go, look at that. And each one, look at this, replay list. Here it is, logo passed, R3, R2, R1. So you can see all that's going on here. And replace my opener. Oh, no, I actually didn't want to do that. You can come down here, replace. No, I don't want to see how I can touch off of that. There you go. Can you replace the closing one? Yes, you can replace the closing one. And then you can enable or disable each of these things. So these are each of the replays that I did, and those are always available. Once you've recorded those replays, they remain. So that's another key feature, is that those replays stick around, so that if you are done your event, you have all those different scores or attempted scores or, you know, great scenes from the game stored as highlight moments, that it's easy to go back and get those, as opposed to scan through a 2-hour game and look for those highlights. If you replayed them, even if you hit replay, oh, got to turn it on first. Sorry. Even if you hit replay, that's on, and then say use later, boom, game keeps going. But I've saved those and stored them for later. That's a cool thing. Anyway, I do believe that answers all the questions for the new YoloBox 2.0 update. I do thank you all for being here. And as always, it's an open show. You can send me an email for suggestions and recommendations if you ever need to reach out to me. You can use the sign-in form, the contact form on Stream for Us. You can purchase your gear at the Video Guys curated store right there. Check out my articles at Streaming Media Magazine. You can also send me a message via Facebook right here. Oh, this is all because I made it bigger. And there is the StreamTek channel on YouTube with lots of tutorials, explanations, NAB coverage, and interviews. So one of the cool playlists that we've got going on is this Conversations series, where we interview people who are in the streaming industry, in the production industry, find out what they do, how they do it, what they want to do, where they think their career is going, and just provide advice to help everyone in this career, because we're all in this together. And if you know somebody that would be good for the Conversation series, send me a message. I appreciate it. With that, I will say thank you all for being here. I appreciate your company every week here on our live show. And comes in, how do I cue my replay? I'm going to say that's something that there's multiple ways to do it. So dive in and figure out how it works best for you, whether you're using a stinger or not, whether you want to do them now or later, and how your workflow is going to work. So I don't know how you cue your replay, and I don't do replay because I don't do sports. So I'm not able to provide a really good starting point for that. Just being honest, I'm not trying to make up something on the fly. It's just replay, and sports is not something that I do on a regular basis to have that background to give you the information on best practices for replay. With that, I'm going to bid you adieu and look forward to seeing you all next week. Ready, set,